interested in one little issue that the court talked about. Well, you can sit here and read these little synopsises and determine from that whether it's an issue you're interested in. If it is, then you can take this head note right here, 1, and follow it across to this head note right here, and from right here to right there, the court is discussing the issue that you're interested in. Now you don't have to read the whole case and a bunch of issues that you're not interested in. And so the head note can be very helpful. Then this key number here is really good from the standpoint that there's a volume of books called Colorado Digest. Now this Colorado Digest is arranged by key numbers. So if we happen to be looking at a monopoly case in that set of books, and it said monopolies, key number 12, and then in parentheses of 15, what we do is we come down here to 12, 15, and we see other cases that are related to patents and monopolies. And we can read these little annotations, and at the bottom of each annotation is the site for the case that the little annotation came from. And so from there you can go look up the entire case if you'd like and find a bunch of other cases that are related. Now Colorado Digest is also updated by Pocket Parts, and as a result you can find out the most recent decisions by following those key numbers back into the Pocket Part. Out of all of the volumes that I've discussed up to this point, I think it's important to show you which ones are the primary sources of law. Remember we talked at the beginning about how there's primary and secondary sources. All the volumes that have to do with like getting you ready for trial and commentaries on evidence and that kind of thing, those are all considered secondary sources. So far, the only volumes that we've dealt with that would constitute primary sources of law are the Colorado jury instructions approved by the Supreme Court, the Colorado revised statutes, which is the laws passed by the legislators, of course, and then also the Colorado Reporter, which deals with Supreme Court and appellate court decisions in the state of Colorado. These decisions are binding on the state courts. Okay, let's talk about some other uses of the Colorado Digest. One thing that you can do with this is that one of the volumes is a defendant-plaintiff table, also words and phrases. And so what you can do here is if you know the name of a case and you know it's from Colorado, maybe sometimes what will happen is you'll forget the order that it came in. You'll remember the two names in the case, but you don't remember whether one name was the plaintiff or the other name was the defendant and so forth. And so it's handy to start off with a defendant-plaintiff table. And what they've done is they've organized all the cases that have come out of the appellate and Supreme Courts in Colorado alphabetically. First by plaintiff and then the other way by defendant. So you can go here and it'll give you the site. So if you just have the name of the case, you can get that to use the site. The other thing is that within the Colorado Digest itself, remember it's a secondary source of legal information, is words and phrases. So if you want to see what Colorado courts had to say about a specific word or phrase, then you could come right here and look up what cases discuss that. Of course, again, it's updated by Pocket Part. Another book that's part of the Colorado Digest is the table of cases, and this is arranged by plaintiff-defendant. And this is more comprehensive. Let's take a look at what it has. Okay, here's Denny v. People. It's from Colorado, 104 Pacific 2nd, 610, or 106 Colorado Supreme Court Reporter, 328. There's two sets of books. One set is only Colorado Supreme and Appellate Court decisions. That's what COLL stands for. And the other set is Pacific 2nd, which is Pacific Reporter, 2nd edition. That's volume 104 at page 610. So that's where Denny v. People occurs. And then underneath this it says criminal law, and then it has the key number 863, 1, and 873. And so that tells you that this Denny v. People, the issue that was addressed there was a criminal issue. But another use for the table of cases is suppose that you have a case, just for example, Smith v. People. Well, if you look up in the table of cases under Smith v. People, you're going to find out that there have been a lot of Smiths involved in criminal charges in the history of Colorado. And so then the way you find the case that you're looking for is by reading underneath the case site. It has these little abbreviations. It says criminal law here on Dennison v. People, or up above this, homicide. It's HOMIC, H-O-M-I-C, is an abbreviation for homicide. And so if you were looking for something that had to do with homicide, then you'd know that this was probably the right case, and you can narrow it down to 1 or 2 cases that you need to look up to find the exact one that you're looking for. So that's another use for the table of cases. Okay, let's go to another book that's also part of the Colorado Digest, which is the key words, the descriptive word index. And it's broken out alphabetically again. And for example, here we've got colonies, color of law, color of office, color of state, color of title, and then underneath that are exactly what sections of the digest you could find these descriptive words discussed in. And so then you can find out the equivalent of words and phrases for the state that you're in. Okay, what we're looking at here are what's known as regional state reporters. In these volumes are recorded the Supreme Court and appellate court decisions from the various states of the Union. And they've broken these down into Southeastern Reporter. They're up to the 2nd series as far as I know. The Southeastern Reporter will be cited in court cases. In other words, if you're reading a decision and they cite to Southeastern Reporter, it'll say S.E. S period, E period, 2D. And that tells you that this is the particular volume. Now, if you see it cited that way, in parentheses next to it will be the exact state that the decision came from, as well as the year that the decision came out. This covers Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. Those are all the states that are covered inside this volume of reporters. The way this works is that they'll let this series run typically until it gets up to volume 999, and then they'll jump to the 3rd series. And so then it'll be S period, E period, 3D, and then volume 1. Okay. Now, then the second kind that we have is Southwestern Reporter, 2nd series, and this covers Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas, and its abbreviation will be S period, W period, 2D, and that tells you it's Southwestern Reporter, 2nd series, and then again in parentheses it should have an abbreviation for which state it came out of. And this number here, of course, is the volume number. And that, in other words, it'll be 166, S period, W period, 2D, and then it'll have the page of this that it occurs on. Southern Reporter, 2nd series, will be S period, 2D, and this covers Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Atlantic Reporter will be A period, 2D, and then it covers Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Maine, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. The Northeastern Reporter, 2nd series, covers Illinois, Indiana, Massachusetts, New York, and Ohio. Of course, all of these are arranged. Here's your volumes here. We've got, and the Northeast would be NE period 2D, or N period E period, caps, 2D. Here's the volume, of course. Northwestern will be N period W period 2D, and it covers Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. The Pacific Reporter is where Colorado decisions are recorded. Its abbreviation is P period 2D. Here's the volume, of course. Arizona, California. It covers Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Kansas, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Wyoming, Oklahoma, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. Now let me give you the theory behind a regional reporter. Generally, I think you would find that the law in a wild western region of the United States, where allegedly men are more independent, the decisions that issue from the court are going to be more alike and more likely reasoned out the same manner than a decision that, say, came from an East Coast court, where conditions are considerably different than they are in the western regions of the United States. And for this reason, it would be better for you, if you were in Colorado, if you're going to cite an out-of-state case, it would be better to cite it from a court in a state that's immediately around Colorado than it would be to cite a case from New York. From my understanding of it, the state of Illinois, its constitution, Colorado's constitution was fashioned after Illinois' constitution. And as a result, the Colorado courts look very favorably upon the citation to an Illinois case. And So these kind of principles, that's the reason that you have a regional reporter.